A low-tech, high-flash psychedelic fever dream and a speed platformer package, let's give a look to the demo of Spinch and try to keep our sanity in check. My familiarity with Spinch comes from my time at MAGfest earlier this year, where it was in the booth next to the Paralily booth that I would give occasional attention to while holding on to the speedrun record on Paralily, before I decided to grab the speedrun record on the Spinch demo as well, winning me this art print and this awkward Twitter photo where they spelled my name wrong. Googling the name of this game, Spinch, will lead to Google insisting you meant to type spinach and forcibly correcting this script multiple times, since that is the most common misspelling of spinach and what I initially thought that this game was referencing. Someone at the booth told me it was actually a portmanteau of spinning pinch. Thought that was called a purple nurple, but the hell do I know. Neither explanation really helps anyway, since it's also the name of the plain white blob you play as. Graphically, it's part simplistic and mostly stylistic. Spinch is basically a white blob with arms and legs, but a surprisingly fluid and well-animated white blob. The rest of the graphics are flashy, psychedelic, and consistently animated. There's a lot of rainbow everywhere, as well as a constant presence of large, toothy, tribal mask-looking faces. I'm also now recalling that I had no idea what was going on in the style of the game Puss either until I later learned about Vaporwave, so maybe this game is also going for some lesser-known artistic and musical subculture, and you can call me out for not knowing that later. Just expect lots of colors, smooth lines, and a very trippy aesthetic overall, though it's not hard to identify the difference between objects and threats. Most anything pink, purple, or flashing rainbow in this game will probably hurt you. Does seem to depend on the stage though. Sound also fits the psychedelic simplicity, going for catchy and purposefully low res, as both the music and the sound is done via circuit bending, basically taking old lo-fi speakers like you'd find in electronic toys to create a very unique sound. While I find the tracks catchy and interesting, you're gonna run into some very short loops in this demo, and I'm concerned using them as backing tracks in this video might come off annoying to some, as they seem to be designed and complemented around the game's audio using these exact same features. With these very rough bleeps and bloops in full action, the whole game comes across like what most every TV sitcom producer thinks all video games sound like, but like, in a good way. Gameplay-wise, it's not exactly hard to pin down what Spinch is, but it's not completely as straightforward as it seems. It's a precision platformer, sure, but with a little bit less of a focus on precision, since Spinch can take a few hits before dying, and health pickups and checkpoints do appear along the way. It's not mostly simple one-screen room stages like Super Meat Boy, nor is it labyrinthian and exploration-focused like Celeste. Stages tend to remain pretty horizontal, with others based in verticality, but mostly long and linear, like a Mario Bros. Game. Being able to jump on most enemies to defeat them, as well as having special items to collect along the way, like white cubes and baby Spinches, definitely aids that comparison. But control is where things change up quite a bit. In that space, the game is more in common with Mega Man X of all things, as Spinch has a spammable dash, a dash that you can use mid-air, and the ability to easily climb walls by repeatedly jumping against them. This kit makes it far easier to perform some crazy long-distance maneuvers and easily recover from what would likely be an instant death in most Mario games. What Spinch really is a speed platformer. The running counter at the corner beckons you to complete these stages as fast as possible, and there's a reason that the booth ran a speedrun contest each day of MAGfest. Speedrunning Spinch feels very fluid and fair. You can feel where the global cycles are going to be. Understanding the capabilities of your moveset and knowing if you should or should not damage boost through a section all favors how quickly you'll get through the stage. No duh, right? Well, okay, here's a better example. Level 2, the level I won the contest on, and with a time I think I just beat, well, Level 2 has these narrow pipe sections with damaging areas on each wall. The idea for a regular run would be to leap from pipe to pipe while avoiding these sections and enemies. But players more savvy with the kit will notice that Spinch's wall jump height is just enough to clear these hazards, meaning that you don't have to transition from wall to wall at all in a run, and saving you lots of time. There may also be alternate paths that prove safer to traverse, but longer to move around, so you can weigh the likelihood of getting to the end without losing all of your hit points. Well, there's my tips, go embarrass my clear time if you want. The baby Spinch collectibles in this demo don't seem to have any purpose, but gathering cubes can grant you invincibility when snagging 50 in total. Checkpoints also don't reset your time counter, so if you want a good time, you're probably going to need to run the whole stage in one go. Getting really good runs in creates some genuinely heart-pounding moments, especially if you can get the invincibility to trigger at one of the more difficult parts. Really, that's all I can say about this demo. The demo has no narrative and only showcases 3 levels of varying difficulty. The third being by far the toughest of the trio. The first is a fairly straightforward forest and plains type level with some floating platforms and tunnels to traverse. The second being space themed, having you run along floating platforms orbited by these, with a few alternate routes if you know what to look for and you trust the cubes. And level 3 being a nightmare of falling icicles, crumbling platforms, ice physics, enemies taking potshots at you from across the screen, or any combination of the 4. There's no bosses in the demo, and I remember finishing some of the other stages I played at the booth could get very nail-biting, clutch, and punishing. Expect a full challenge for more than just speedrunning upon the game's full release, whenever that may be. I really would like to see what it's like to take on the boss featured in that frame print I won, though. Almost feels weird owning that.